Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Come here, come on, sit down. I insist. Pinty boy's back at the desk, and it's time for another talk. You guys missed out. Like right before I hit the record button, I had spun in my chair. Woo! And got dizzy because I listened to Angel Centerfold. Why is this light? You're so bright. Everything is wrong. It's all bad. It's all wrong. It's all terrible. You know what? I can fix it in a 1, 2, 3. Hey! Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've been trying to work on this video for like a long time. Like all of February I was trying to write a script for this, but apparently I'm bad at writing scripts now, and my Bungie doc taking like 9 months to write is just the example of me being bad at writing scripts. So I'm just gonna sit down and write my thoughts while I'm out of time, because starting today, that's right, today, I swear to God, if I have to pull the sleeve down one more time, starting today, we are starting the 7 days of Doom Eternal, because I'm hyped as fuck, and I'm just listening my thoughts off. So let's talk about Doom Eternal and why you should be hyped for Doom Eternal. And trust me, you wanna hear my thoughts why I'm hyped on Doom Eternal? We'll get there. Why should we be hyped for Doom Eternal? Why even bother? It's a great question. It's an excellent question. Here's the thing about Doom Eternal. I think everyone should be excited about the game, honestly, for the sheer fact that it's going to be a good game. Wow, that's kind of a bold statement to say about a game before it's even out. I know it's going to be good. Why? Because if you look at the early footage to see how the game is paced, and you see how passionate developers are, that says a lot. And you know what? I don't even care if like the game has like a bad ending that like always sours in my mouth at this point in time. It's the fact that you can see the passion poured into this game, and that's something I just don't see from developers in the AAA industry much of anymore. That's why I still... Sorry, I'm getting coronavirus. It's all over. More on that shortly this week. Ugh, crap. Okay, Corona bullshit aside, let's get back to Doom. Doom Eternal is just, I just want to speak my mind, man. I'm just so excited about it. I want to talk about why I personally feel like it's going to be such a good game compared to other AAA games where you're sitting there and it's like, it looks kind of sketchy. This one does not look like it's going to be bad. You can just see the game just seeping with enthusiasm from the people who've been working on all these great ideas coming to life. And the fact that we have 2016 to go based off of, Doom 2016 was an amazing fucking game, and they somehow got Doom Eternal to make Doom 2016 look bad. Okay, I was thinking to myself, this is incredible. I'm gonna have a hard time going back to Doom 2016 after playing Doom Eternal. And guess what? The next day, Hugo Martin released an interview talking about Doom Eternal, talking about how it's gonna be really fucking hard to get back into Doom 2016 after playing Doom Eternal, and quite frankly, I can believe that pretty goddamn well, if I'm being honest. So I just want to like completely blow my fucking mind why I'm so excited for Doom Eternal, honestly, because I'm gonna be playing the hell out of that game. It's gonna be a hell of a hype week this week talking about Doom Eternal, so be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, because please, I like making YouTube videos. I don't want to be lonely. So the first thing I want to talk about is story. The story. This was by far one of the most controversial things for me when it came to this new release coming out. The game hasn't come out yet, so it's kind of hard to say this, but it's just the presentation that we can see so far from the trailers. It is excellent how they're able to put more story into it without overdoing it. Because when they first talked about, we're gonna have more story to do, I'm like, don't, you did it so well in 2016, don't add more story. But somehow, let me tell you here, right now, come here, let Papa Pint talk to you, explain to you what's going on here. I don't like Papa Pint. The thing about it is, 2016 didn't go very far into the story, and it was almost lacking in a certain regard. Like, I could appreciate the way they did it. That was the whole purpose, was it's not about the story, it's about the gameplay ripping and tearing demons apart. And that's really what I appreciate about it. But then when it came to the story itself, it was awkward because you got the purpose that it wasn't about the story in the first place. That's kind of why it wasn't there. But what story they did try to put in there, when they started to try to go deep with it, kind of fell apart, honestly. You have to read into the codex, and so they're trying to get more into that. Like, they're still gonna have huge codexes that you can go and read more lore about, but they're also trying to find ways to incorporate these elements into the game itself, which I can really appreciate. But I can really appreciate just how well they're trying to incorporate these elements into the game without directly forcing the player into like a cutscene, for example. Maybe it's the way dialogue is. It's just the world. They put so much of this into like the world building around you. You know, you go to these badass places now. We're not just going to Mars and hell. We're going to be on Earth. We're going to be on Phobos. We go back to Mars. We go to the heaven. We go to hell. We go to apparently another in-between realm that they teased at E3, but they couldn't really describe without us being able to see it when Doom Eternal comes around. So I'm excited to see that. And also heaven. If you guys have seen heaven with like the red trees and shit, that shit looks badass. So that's basically the story in a nutshell. They've done really good with the story. They made it really nice, and they did a good job trying to incorporate it with these cutscenes that play basically at the beginning and end of each mission without littering the game with cutscenes. You know, they're quick, they're simple, and they literally just empower the player. Like, it's just, here's Doom Guy being more badass. It's not a person saying, you have to go do this. This is your task. Blah, 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 blah. It reminds me of Call of Duty. Like, Ramirez, go do this thing. Ramirez, go do that. It's not that crap. It's just Doom Guy's badass. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. And Doom Guy's just like, he's the best protagonist in the game. That's kind of what I was talking about with something like the Heaven and Hell. Like, they've had this century-long war going on. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, the Heaven and Hell have had this long-standing battle they've been fighting for like a long time, and it was like Earth Dimension got in trouble with Hell Dimension by tapping the power, and Heaven's like, you cannot do that, you cannot mess with us because traditions, or whatever the hell the lady says in the video. And so then Heaven, Hell, and Earth all start fighting, and Doom Guy is like the ultimate badass dad that comes in and just separates everybody. You know, he's just like, all right, everyone's going in timeout, and Heaven's like, no, we're the best one here. You know, it's like the oldest child that's like, no, we're the best one here. I know what's going on. And Doom Guy's like, reload shotgun with religious intent. I'm telling you, dude, the game is gonna be fucking dope. Story's cool, but clearly we're not playing Doom for its story. We're playing it for its gameplay. They've nailed it so well, dude. I'm saying this right here, right now. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for Doom Eternal's gameplay. What? I had too much carrot cake. The gameplay is clearly what we're here for when it comes to Doom Eternal, okay? Look, there was some problems with Doom 2016 gameplay. They had it really, really well, but Hugo Martin said it best. You can go into the game and use all these different weapons for all these different purposes. Like, there's no reloading for a reason. You can just swap back and forth for different purposes. But the problem was, a lot of people didn't have fun because they would just sit and use the same gun to beat the whole game. Some people were okay with that, you know, just using the super shotgun because it's so powerful, it works in every single sort of scenario. But some game journalists rated the game very poorly because they would just end up using the shotgun because it was so powerful for everything, but then the game got boring for them. And so instead of Hugo Martin, for example, just ranting endlessly at these people for like, oh, it's your fault for not switching weapons, using the whole sandbox and arsenal, instead they said, okay, how can we fix this problem? And they went ahead and tried to find a way to take care of this inside of Doom Eternal. And their way of doing this was to ensure that you make the player use the whole arsenal for different scenarios. Now we have all these sorts of different enemies that act differently to different weapons, and to ensure you use different weapons. For example, the Mancubus, they've completely made the Mancubus so goddamn dangerous to get near. You don't want to use the super shotgun near the Mancubus at all. You want to stay at a distance or mid-range. But there's so many different things you can use now. Hell, I mean, you can shoot off his guns now because Doom Patrol's badass like that. You can shoot off different parts. But what about the regular shotgun, where you can use it as like a grenade launcher and stick the Mancubus and then just blow them up, or use the rocket launcher, which is amazing now. Oh my goodness, why wouldn't you use the rocket launcher? Because it shoots slower, but it's way more powerful. But it also does self-damage. And speaking of that, there's this brand new demon, some fat ass, forgot the name of him. Basically, he brings up shields, and he'll bring it up in front of you to ensure that you don't keep spamming the rocket launcher and that you'll shoot yourself and you'll kill yourself, because apparently it does a lot of self-damage. Speaking of which, you lose health in this game fast. It is a fast-paced game. It's about getting the kills properly. Are you going to get a glory kill? Are you going to get a chainsaw kill to make sure you get the ammo back? Are you going to prioritize which enemies you attack first? Are you going to just go in there guns a-blazing? You know, it's amazing the way that they do this. The gameplay is really solid the way they have it down. And they also lowered your ammo count, so you're not just sitting there spamming the same gun either. You have to switch, you have to stay on your toes, and they toned the game perfectly to work in a balanced way in this manner too, so that everyone's going to have a fun time with it. It's great. It's fantastic. It is just beautiful the way they made this ballet of gunfire. They have all these enemies that come up at different times, and you can prioritize which enemies you want to go after. You want to kill this guy first because he feels like he's your priority because he's going to limit you because he's going to put a shield in front of you, or do you want to go after the Revenant because he's attacking you from a distance and you want to shoot his guns off so he's less of a problem, and go over after this imp that keeps throwing fireballs at you because he's just pissing you off. And then, oh no, there's a pinky! Look, man, it's just brilliant the way they did it, and it's going to have so much replay value. Speaking of replay value, they finally heard my concerns. They're adding a brand new, it's a new game plus, and that's why I hated about Doom 2016. There was no version of New Game Plus inside of Doom 2016. Now there is. I think it's called like Master Mode or something like that. I don't know, but you get to keep your upgrades and that they transfer over, and you can play this game on like a stupid hard difficulty, and like you find all these enemies at earlier levels and that sort of stuff. Oh my god. It's exactly what I wanted in 2016. I'm gonna play the hell out of this game. That's why you should be excited too. You're gonna this thing is well worth your $60. You're gonna non-stop play this single player mode. It's not gonna be a single player mode that you finish once, like that's pretty cool. It's not focused on the story. You can get more into the story if you want to. There's lore for that, or you can just play the game over and over, just like Mass Effect. And this is what I talk about all the time when it comes to replaying single player games. You have these different spectrums. You have two different things. This is how I look at stories usually. You have over here, bare bones, no story at all. And you have over here where you have like Mass Effect, branching stories, right? And you want to find that in between to ensure that you have as much replay value as possible to ensure that you're actually able to play the game over and over. You know, you don't want to have no story at all when it comes to some of these games. And when it comes to Mass Effect, that's just really difficult to develop for a lot of people. Not everyone can do branching story paths. You want to find that middle ground. You know, you want to ensure that if you go full story, you're going to have those different branching paths, or you want to come down here where there's just enough story that the gameplay makes up for, so there's enough replay value, so that when you go back into the New Game Plus mode, you can play it without, oh, I'm going through the same story again. You're less worried about that, and you're more worried about the gameplay, because the gameplay is just freaking amazing. It's not focused on the story, and that's what matters, and that's what I love about Doom. Great. It's gun porn. It's just junk food. And that's exactly what they say all the friggin' time. And speaking of that, that is my final point. The developers. It's just how they say it. You can see the enthusiasm from the developers. You know they appreciate this project, okay? It's not like we're getting hyped and promised all these details like Sean Murray of No Man's Sky. Now it's more along the lines of the developer isn't making promises. You just hear the passion of like, you're gonna love, like I love this aspect of the game so much, and then he starts talking about it for so long, and how they developed it, and then how this mistake came up, and so they wanted to go back on that mistake because that was bad, because that wouldn't work very well in the game, and the people doing the interview are just sitting here like, I have like 20 more questions, but like this guy is just going on and on. I love this! And when you see that much just oozing from the developers, it's fantastic. I remember one of the stories that Hugo Martin was talking about, I think it was the No Clip documentary. When they were designing the game very first, they used 2016 as the base model, and they started adding stuff to 2016 to see how the sandbox would flow. And they added, I think they added the meat hook to the shotgun almost instantly, and the increased mobility for like dashing and double jumping and that sort of stuff. And the game to them was boring, because they were just slaughtering demons. And so that's when they realized the faster you go, the more difficult that's the word I'm trying to find. The more difficult you have to add to it. You know, you have to make the demons a little bit harder to attack. And they all have to have their separate roles. And now, when you play Doom Eternal, unlike 2016 where you're just frying everything, now in here, every demon has a defined role to go after. 2016, yeah, they had roles. But here, each demon has a defined role, and you're going to attack them and get rid of them for that reason. And whether you're a hardcore player or not, you're going to find that shit because the demons are going to rub it in your face that this is what I do, you better look out or I'm going to kick your ass. And clearly we don't want that. So the fact that developers sit there and talk about this was boring, and so we decided to add this to fix on this and then get rid of that and blah, 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 blah. When they talk about adding different elements and then also getting rid of elements because they weren't fun, now you know that they're not just making another AAA game. They're designing something that they find fun, that they want to show the world. That's just how indie developers make their games. They find something fun, and they want to give it to the world. And granted, they have to sell it to make money so they can keep doing what they do, and that's exactly what we want from game developers, and that's why I'm so confident in Doom Eternal. And that's why I love Doom Eternal, and that's why I think you guys should love Doom Eternal, because I feel like this game needs as much support as possible, because this is the sort of stuff that we really want to see. You can see it just from the trailers alone. You look at any of the trailers, and you look at the like-dislike ratio, and you look at any of the music that's been released by YouTubers, and it's just, oh, the music. Oh my god, I didn't even talk about the music. But don't you worry for a second, because I'm going to have a whole video dedicated just to the soundtrack of Doom. That's why you should stick around for the 7 days of Doom as we get ready for Doom Eternal's release next week. It's that close, guys. Next Friday. It's right there. It's coming in hot. So get ready. Be ready for that sort of stuff. I'm very, very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be streaming as much as possible, getting hyped for Doom Eternal, and we're going to be making all sorts of videos, releasing up and down all over the content pipeline. I'm sure you guys are going to love it. So, let me know what you guys think down below, why you guys may be hyped or not hyped for Doom Eternal. If you're not hyped, you're just wrong. You should be hyped for Doom Eternal, okay? And if your buddy's not hyped for Doom Eternal, get them hyped for Doom Eternal. Get them to play Doom. Get them all to play Doom. Get your mother, your grandmother, your father, your father's father, and your brother to play Doom. Okay, pumpkin? So, thank you all for watching a long time, not a hard time. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Also, subscribe. I like making YouTube content.